Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be planting something in this gap here, which we spoke about in my last video. We previously had a Christmas tree, similar to some of the ones down there in this gap. And that was chopped down last year, as you can see, just before Christmas, and has left a big planting opportunity. As we look at the gap there, that way is north, that way is west. The problem, as I explained in my last video, is that I don't really have a prime candidate to go in this spot. And those who are regular viewers know that I don't spend much money on plants. I think the most I've ever spent is £50 on a plant. And I do have some options. We basically narrowed it down to another Christmas tree, but it's not very tropical. And actually Kate pointed out, thank you Kate, that there's lots of spiky plants here. And it might look nicer if we didn't have another spiky plant. So I have actually found a space for that. I'll show you that in a minute, because I didn't want it to go to waste. So the winning candidate is this small little Fatsia Japonica, just an ordinary one. And it's desperately in need of a repot, or even better than that, planting in the ground. So the plan is, obviously that won't really look that spectacular straight away, but it will soon grow. And Vincenzi, I think you suggested some Mahonia soft caress, which is a plant that is definitely on my list, has been for a little while. I have a normal Mahonia here, but the soft caress, you wouldn't want to touch that one, but the soft caress, you can softly caress it, I suppose, if you're into that sort of thing. And I'm going to get hold of some of that. I've messaged someone on Marketplace who's got a few plants. Hopefully I can get them planted in around it, but also there's 5 plants, so I'll dot them about a little bit in the border. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this stump in here. I'm not going to go to the effort of taking that out. It's a beautiful sunny day today, low 20s, so I don't fancy doing that in the sun. And I'm just going to dig a small hole sort of here, probably not the full depth of the root ball, because I'm going to mound plant a little bit. It's a bit of a hybrid between mound planting and planting normally. So let's do it. It was a bit tricky digging so close to the stump, because obviously we're in a root zone. So I managed to get through a couple of roots, and now we'll put the plant in. I noticed that when I took it out of the pot, it's got sort of one main root there, which has grown all of this. So I definitely don't want to lose that. I'm gonna carefully place that in there. And well, my plan didn't work that well, because it's only slightly proud of ground level. Now, close to the trunk here, the old trunk is a little bit higher than here. So on this side, I am maybe an inch proud. That'll do. And now I'm going to fill this, not with the soil I took out, but with this mix that I prepared. This is when I use my child's shovel. Actually comes in pretty handy. reason I'm using this mix is because the soil I dug is mostly clay, so I feel that by using this, it's giving the plant a better substrate to put its roots down into, and it's also just very slowly, it's negligible really, but it's improving the soil in the bed. Any opportunity I get to put more soil in is a good one I take. So it's nicely in, these shoots can come out. So it's actually got a second shoot coming here, which is nice, because I am really after a bushy plant here, rather than something that's just going to go straight up. And so there we go. I'm just going to give that a quick water. Does anyone else keep their watering can in the greenhouse? Or is it just me? I feel that it's got two benefits really. One, it warms the water up, so you're not using tap water at 5 degrees C. So that's got to be a small benefit, I would have thought, for the plant. And secondly, and again it's probably a negligible benefit, but I do feel that it takes the peak off of the high or low temperature in the greenhouse. Going to give this a big water. Stop for a moment. I'm going to top it up actually, because I have washed away some of the soil I put down. So we will give it a top up there. And try and water it more gently this time. Still lots of runoff. That's the trouble with mound planting. Okay, I think that's all right. That's not too bad. That had about half a can. In other words, about 6 or 7 litres of water. And as I say, that will soon perk up and start to spread. Now it's in the ground, well, hopefully anyway. So now, let's see what I'm going to do with this then. Now behind the trampoline is a bit of a hiding place for all sorts of things. In fact, we'll go this way, underneath the apple tree. And I did plant a few things here a few years ago, including Philostachys vivax, which hasn't really done a lot. I also mound planted that with a deep moat around it, which needs trenching again to avoid it running. But again, it makes it difficult to water, so need to pay a bit more attention to that, I think. But this plant, this tall plant here, Sitka spruce, I do not want. It's got it's not the best looking plant, so I'm just going to take it out. It should come out really easily, I think, because I've taken quite a few of these out before. And I'm going to plant the Nordman Fir Christmas tree, which is what I've got, in this place where I can give it a good trim and then hopefully get it back into a shape where in a few years I can dig it up and use it for our Christmas tree. So when I bought this Christmas tree about I suppose 2.5 years ago, it came in this black plastic pot, and I didn't fancy getting out of there because there was already roots coming out of the bottom. So I planted the pot into the planter bag, and it's grown. Look at these strong roots it's put down. It's done really well actually. Somewhere underneath there, that's the bottom of the pot. So it's sort of abandoned the pot now and is growing outside of it, obviously. Now, I still don't fancy the chances of getting that pot off without seriously disrupting the roots. That wouldn't be possible. So I think I am going to have to enlarge my hole a little bit and plant it as it is now. Okay, so I've given it a trim. I've given it a good water as well. It's had a full can. And I've sort of got it ish back into a typical Christmas tree shape. The main problem we have is that the leader has died. Now there are, I think, some buds coming out. So hopefully one of these will assume the role of leader, and in a couple of years you won't notice. Certainly by the time it's harvestable as a Christmas tree. I also, as mentioned, cut off the lower branches, and that does two things. It stops the trunk from thickening up as much, so you can get it in your Christmas tree stand much easier. And secondly, if you do it now, then the lowest leaves sort of grow into the light, whereas if you leave the old ones on, then they can actually, this can stop these from growing as much because it's being shaded out. So that's the reason for taking those off early. I realise a lot of people won't think Christmas trees or any sort of conifer really is at all exotic, but I do think there's a place for them. How great do these ones look with their lime green new growth? Looks fantastic. And the garden's not full of them, but I think variety is nice, and exotic style gardening is a little bit about finding odd things, things that don't necessarily you don't see them together too often. So I think it works, but let me know if you agree, if you disagree. The weather's so nice, I just want to stay outside all day today, so I'm going to crack on with a couple more jobs now. Now, not very exciting, but it's time to do a once a year job, which is to tidy the shed. Now, I last did this about 3 years ago, so long overdue. And I've already taken everything out. I've given it a real good wipe down. It's not perfect by any means, didn't want to spend too long on it, but it was amazing how much dirt was on the floor, how many spider webs were absolutely everywhere. I don't know why, because I can't imagine we get many flies in here, but there's just so many spider webs. And now, here's everything laid out. So I've now got to go through all of this, have a look, see what I want to keep, see what I need to get rid of. A couple of things maybe to sell. But all this was in that little shed. I don't have a garage, so everything that's outside the house needs to live in this shed, which I think is 10 foot by 8 foot. Okay, there's the get rid pile. And here's the tidy shed. As always, goes back in really nicely. Trouble is keeping it looking like that. But the shed is looking good again. Lastly, a quick game which I play every year called Weed or Not a Weed. Any ideas? It's about to burst into flower, whatever it is, but I don't remember having anything like that before. There's something very similar here, possibly actually the same. So I don't know whether it's got into this bed as a weed. If it has, I don't know. Well, it's all about what the flowers are going to look like, I suppose. So might just wait and see. But if you do know what it is, please let me know in the comments. Okay, that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are.